Good evening, everybody, and a warm welcome to the business end of the Race Anywhere Porsche Cup EU. It's Dave Christie and David Russell back once again in the virtual commentary box, and we are here for one of the races, I've got to be honest, David, that I've been looking forward to for the entire season. It's been a manic one so far, but we finally get here to the sunny shores of Italy, and we head to Monza in these Porsches. Good evening. Can you contain your excitement tonight?
No, I can't, mate. A good evening to you. Hope everyone who's watching is doing well as well. Happy Tuesday to you. And yeah, 3 rounds to go, including this one. So Monza, Silverstone and Bathurst to round it all off. It's one of those tracks, isn't it, Monza? It just feels like it has to be on every single calendar of a championship, doesn't it? It doesn't matter what car it's in, whether it's Porsche Cup cars, or it's GT3s, LMP2s, F1 car, whatever. It needs a place on a calendar. It's a fantastic track. It's one of my personal favourites because it just akins itself to any form of racing. And look, we've seen brilliant stuff so far in the season from these guys. This is a track that's going to lend itself to some brilliant action. And I'm really looking forward to, of course, sprint action as well. So what more to love?
Certainly is. And obviously, with the track being just about 6 kilometres, it's just 3.6 miles long, a wonderful track steeped in tradition, and yet we're going to spend the next 10 minutes talking about Prima Variante, talking about that first chicane. What on earth are we going to expect as we thankfully see Mike Yao is actually with us in the broadcast production. But yeah, the first chicane, what do we expect tonight from that? Is it going to be what we see in public server racing, or are we going to be disappointed and get an entertaining but fair? Actually, as I see, someone in the background somehow managing to absolutely send it into Variante Ascari, just caught on the helicopter cam there. So as I said, back to my original question there, Prima Variante, first chicane. Are we going to get anybody absolutely sending it in that first corner?
The meme of turn 1 at Monza, isn't it? It's ridiculous. It just seems to have brought on some sort of cult status in the sim racing world. I hope we don't. Mainly because I don't want to see people... I mean, look, there's 2 races, of course, so if anything does go wrong on this one, then you've got a chance to come back, and it's reverse grid on that one anyway, so there's still a chance you can kind of get some points back on the board, but it's quite amusing when you're not involved, I think, is probably fair to say. It's one of those where I've done it for quite a few times. I did an endurance race on Assetto Corsa Competizione at the start of January at Monza, and for some reason I decided to do out-the-hat qualifying, which included GT4s as well. That was quite scary because you're kind of looking ahead and looking in your rearview mirror as well. But the starts in the season here so far, up until now, have been relatively clean, to be fair. But a lot of them haven't been proper heavy braking zones with no ABS on the track that we've got at the moment. So, look, I hope it stays clean, but I will secretly be quite pleased if there is a little bit of action, because it always spices things up a little bit nicely, doesn't it?
I'm glad you said that. The inner 8-year-old in me is secretly, with the fingers crossed, thinking, yes, come on, let there just be absolute chaos. Mostly because, I mean, the thing is as well is, let's face it, it's starting to look very comfortable at the top for Vince Peters right now, out in front. By what looks like about 38 points or so from Nick Maidson. So we could do with a couple of things getting shaken up. Not so distant in the Pro-Am class, and then in the Am class it's even closer still. So lots to play for. In fact, in the Am class you've got 3 drivers separated by 8 points as we come into the final 3 rounds. But let's talk a little bit more about that then. Vince Peters has been sensational form this season. Really has been the man to beat right now, taking a full 100 points from the last race at our night race at Road Atlanta. What does he have to do here tonight? Because obviously in qualifying he's not really at the top, but again it's like he's got a laser focus for 4th position and then just makes his way from there.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, realistically, all he's really got to do is finish, isn't it? I think, barring any miraculous kind of issues, any disconnects, any race-ending kind of issues that he might have, as long as he keeps scoring points, there's enough of a chance for him to continue to take the lead of that championship. Like you say, he's got, 37, 38 points. I think he's ahead of Nick Madsen at the moment. It tells you the full story when, well, obviously I'm looking at the the driver standing at the moment, and I can see on there that the orange numbers in the drop rounds which they've got. So you get 2 drop rounds a season, and one of them he finished second place in one of the sprint races. So the fact that that's one of his drop rounds is nothing short of impressive. So look, he's doing all he needs to do at the end of the day. He's keeping his nose clean in the main. He's making safe moves if he has to, but yeah, as long as he keeps finishing, I think he'll be okay. It's the like you say, it's the Pro-Am and the Am championships that are really all to play for.
Yeah, certainly lots to see and lots to do as the car's making their way, I believe, on to the grid as we speak just now. So the 3.6 mile circuit looks like this. It's a slightly smaller grid than we are used to, but nonetheless we head to it. Cindy Lanson's then on pole position from Bonaventuster and Arias Humantis. Nick Maidson in 4th and Vince Peters in 5th position. Renzo Eulenbrook, who was actually fastest in free practice, is at the back of the grid in P6. It's Anders Dahl in 1st position. In fact, we'll add Anders in because he's erroneously showing as in his own class just now. So we'll get him added in just a second. But Harry Wills in pole position then in the Pro-Am Championship with Jean Fierro in 2nd position. Then you've got Igor Kos in 3rd position, Cody Pride in 4th, Steve Martin in 5th, Dan Sedgley in 6th with Stuart Reynolds in 7th. Dean Timms leads the AMS from Simon Underhill, Ross Dunstan and Dan Gilding on row 2. Row 3 is Eric Benson and Jason Dilworth, and then row 4 Ryan Hamilton and Chris Chatterton. So the car's making their way on the warm-up lap. What do we think we can expect to see then in the first, well, from the first of the 2 races tonight?
I mean, look, if we see action, I think it's not going to be too unsurprising, is it? We see action. These sprint races just seem to generate so much content in terms of overtaking manoeuvres, good defensive action, lots of position changes, and potential incidents as well. And I think, like you say, tyres and brakes going to be a little bit cold. You can see there's not too much weaving as they're going down the back straight towards Parabolica on the formation lap, as it were. So tyres, brakes might be a little bit cold. So we've just got to be a little bit careful going into there. Normally the pro guys, the starts are fairly kind of averaged out. They're normally fairly clear. It's the Pro-Ams and the Ams because they manage that start themselves. Normally that first guy gets a bit of a break, but all remains to be seen. Long run to turn 1. Let's get it going.
Let's get it going indeed then. Round the Parabolica for the first time of asking. These Porsche Cup cars are about to roar into life here at Monza. You can see picture in picture, that is the Pro-Am class, and just behind them you've got the Am class, but the pace car is about to pull in for the first time tonight in our first of 2 races as we get ready to go green here at Monza. It's going to be a 7-car charge down to turn 1. And I am waiting with bated breath. Anders Dahl is at the back of the pro field, so we'll lump him in with the pros. But the lights come on and the lights go off again. It's a run straight down to turn number 1. Cindy Lanson's in the lead of this group just now. Are we going to have anybody in? And there we go, locking the brakes and almost contacting. Yeah, disappointingly, they all get through absolutely unscathed. That has ruins my night on that one. Let's do it all over again with the Pro-Ams. This time it's Harry Wills ahead of Jean Fierro and Igor Kos again. And that looks like it's going to be Jean Fierro then on the run down into turn 1. Trying to get it round the outside. He's going to have a good run. Jean Fierro has actually taken the lead. That is a stunning turn of events as the AMS run down into turn 1 then. And this is even more tidy than the Pro-Ams. Again, the Nomad guys kind of know exactly what they're doing here as they make their way round. And absolutely nothing to worry about with the AM class there. But there we go. And that is going to be a slowdown then for Jean Fierro. Igor Kos takes the lead. Jean Fierro in 2nd. Harry Wills down into 4th position. Cody Pride up into 3rd right now. Up into 2nd now. So Cody Pride on the inside there gets that move done. This is very, very tight and twisty for the early stage of a 20-minute race here, David, but game on, and we've got all huge contact. That's Bonaventuster in the background there, gets taken out, and that is going to put Renzo Eulenbrook. I think that might have been an unforced error. So David, carnage and chaos in the first lap.
Yeah, not what we expected it to happen, was it? We kind of expected maybe a little bit of contact going to turn one. You could see him sliding out of the exit of Ascari there, Dane Fierro trying to keep a hold of that number 69 car. He had got such a good run into the first corner. He got exactly the run you needed outside on the exit and just got a perfect run into Curva Grande. Didn't manage to hold on to it, as of course we saw. He got that slowdown, and Cody Pride, as assertive as ever, just made it straight the way through. He's up into second place, as you said, and Igor Kos is... Well, probably feels like all of his Christmases come at once. He's jumped straight up into the lead of the class. The only difficulty is now, look at this big train of cars that are going to have slipstream all the way down this main straight into that heavy braking zone into the Prima Variante.
Certainly is. Just watching Pro Class as well. It's Nick Mason in the lead of that. Then Cody Pride has a look up the inside. But have a look at that. That's Shane Fierro. Have a look in the inside. Cody Pride 2 into 1. Does manage to work, and Cody Pride gets the excellent exit from there as Harry Wills goes side by side then with Shane Fierro. Takes that position like candy from a baby. The two of them still fighting out. And Senny Lanson's trying to hold off Vince Peters. And Vince Peters then takes that position. And that's a great job to see that through. So Senny Larson's down into third position. In fact, yes, so Senny Larson's, we'll have to keep an eye on that because Dahl isn't showing, Anders Dahl isn't showing on our time in tower because it's showing him as a separate class, but he is a pro class car, and that is another variable into the mix, isn't it, with Anders Dahl, because now that's another 3 cars between Vince Peters and the lead of this race.
Yeah, absolutely. Madsen's got off to a fantastic start. 3 positions gained on the first lap or 2. You can see here is the Pro-Am class. Dan Sedgley trying to make a move. Well, I mean, who's trying to make a move on who at the moment? It's impossible to say. Harry Wills is just about holding on. In fact, no, that's Igor Kos, sorry, holding on. No, Harry Wills, yeah, holding on from Steve Martin, from Stuart Reynolds, from Dan Sedgley, to Hein Fierro, who's had a really horrible start, or horrible second, third lap into this race, which is a bit of a shame for him. But yeah, something to keep an eye out for. You can see when it shapes back into those classes, you can see on the left-hand side, it doesn't show Anders Dahl, but can confirm he is definitely in second place. And I mean, the benefit for Vince Peters, yes, it's now 2 cars, between him and Nick Madsen in the lead, but Anders Dahl is effectively in this race a teammate of Peters, so that does make things a little bit easier if he's to get past Senna Lansons, but that's not exactly the easiest thing itself to do.
And we'll have to keep an eye on that, of course, with it being two 20-minute races. Cody Pride having a look up the inside there, but it's not going to happen. And that also means then that Harry Wills tries to have a look up the inside of Cody Pride. The two of them fighting it out as well. But yeah, brilliant stuff to see there as they get back on the gas there. And in fact, actually, that was Reynolds and Wills that were fighting out, because Cody Pride and that are way up the road there as we get back to the AM battle. This is Eric Benson, who is trying to chase down Ryan Hamilton right now. In fact, sorry, excuse me, that's Chris Chatterton, isn't it? Beside Eric Benson. We've got little battle packs all the way through now, because I don't understand how we've only done 2 laps and yet we've got gaps of like 2-3 seconds between some of these little packs in Pro-Am and Am here.
Yeah, I think it's just the way that Monza lends itself to the racing that they get. I mean, you've seen most of the time on these first couple of laps, a lot of the guys have been able to run side by side. If they can stop themselves from doing that, it gives them that chance to make that little breakaway. You can see Igor Kos and Cody Pride are a prime example of that, as are Jason Dilworth and Ryan Hamilton. If they can work together, then they are going to start to form that little bit of a gap. And you can see now they've got that 3.5 seconds. Cody Pride has thought, right, I've had enough of sitting behind this guy. I'm going to try and make a move now. I don't think he'll go for it into parabolic air. You can just see him backing off and probably just lift and coasting into the final corner, try and get the best exit possible and see if he can mount a charge into turn number 1 as they go on to lap number 4. In the meantime, though, it looks like Vince Peters is managing to close the gap to Senna Lansons, but he's not really closing the gap to Nick Madsen in front of him. So Madsen looking relatively comfortable in P1 in class at the moment, which I'm sure he'll be very happy to see. He just needs to make sure that number 45 car doesn't get too much closer in the next 15 minutes.
Yeah, remember Anders Dahl is also in that little battle as well there. He will very likely move aside if Vince Peters comes and knocking on that door. But as it stands just now, 6 minutes 20 on the clock here in the first race or this round 8 of the Race Anywhere Porsche Cup Series. Eric Benson back down to the AM class, still holding on to that position from or trying to hold on to that position just now, and doing a fairly decent job of it. It's not been too bad for the pair of them, but you can see here Ryan Hamilton just behind Jason Dilworth. Again, two teammates, very unlikely to see any huge battles going on between these two, but you've got to say, I mean, it's been a really good season in AM, David, for the Nomad Sim Racing team. Very strong outfit, and they've had a very, very consistent performance this year.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we've spoken to a few of them in the interviews, the races over the last few weeks, haven't we? And I think it was Jason Dilworth who we spoke to last week, and it testament to the preparation these guys put in. I mean, look, I recall last week we were speaking to Jason, they were saying, right, we've got Daytona 24 to do at the weekend as well. We'll try and put some laps in on Monday. If they have literally got into their first practice session last night, it's not slowed them down, and it just shows you that if you're prepared nicely and you've got the right people behind you, you've got the engineers, I think it's Xavier, I think it is, who supports them in that team, it's really paying dividends. As you can see now, Vince Peters has that's trying to get the inside of Senna Lancers. This is the battle for the lead in class, would you believe? You can see that Anders Dahl is just on the back of Nick Madsen, and that is Vince Peters trying to go around the outside through Curva Grande around Senna Lancers, just sits in back behind, but he's going to have a perfect run going into the second chicane now.
And here we go then, the man, the myth, the legend, Corey Pride sends it up the inside of Igor Kos, and the fan base, the Pride on YouTube are going to be absolutely delighted with that. A very good evening to Alan Ismay and to Dan Pride, who are always watching and always cheering on their lads. Corey in this one, the number 15, doing a great job of holding on to this position, taking that lead for a start, but it's another thing to try and hold on to Igor Kos behind him. Vince Peters now back down into 4th position as Senny Lansons takes that position back from him right now, because of course Anders Dahl in 2nd place, Senny Lansons in 3rd, Vince Peters back down to 4th, and he really doesn't have to force this issue now. He can happily take the points for being in 4th, but I think that's very unlikely that he's going to voluntarily stay there, David. Yeah,
absolutely. Like you say, he can sit there for as long as he likes, but he's not going to want to do it. And you can see in the background there, just look at the Prime class, you still see them battling as aggressively as they were in the first minute, now to the 9th minute, nearly halfway into this race. Brilliant action from these guys. It's interesting, or just saw Nick Madsen pop up with pit lane next to his name. Fortunately, that's not the case, so he's stayed out in front. But like you said, I mean, Vince Peters looks like he's actually got past Senna Lancers now, but look at that relative. He is closing back in very, very quickly indeed. So see whether he's going to make the move. And Anders Dahl, I can see on the timing screen as well, he's now got past Nick Madsen, so he's into the lead of this race. I don't know whether that has any permutations for the championship. I do recall seeing, because when Vince invited Anders into the session for this evening, he did mention he's not going to be having any impact on the championship. I wonder if that will change now that he's gone into the lead of this race. And lo and behold, Vince Peters takes the lead, and Anders Dahl drops right back down into 4th place. Would you believe? What a surprise that might be.
Well, I never saw that one coming at all. Goodness me. Right. Now, whether or not that'll stay on, because Nick Maidson is... Oh, my goodness me. Look at this. There we go. There's the answer to our question. Around the outside goes Nick Maidson on Vince Peters. This is for the championship. That is amazing. That is probably one of the ballsiest moves I think I've seen from Nick Maidson. Vince Peters runs wide, and we've now got a 4-car battle, ladies and gentlemen, for the lead of this race right now. And here comes Nick Maidson tucked in with the toe of Vince Peters, but also there's Senny Lansons, and then also is going to be Anders Dahl in the mix in this as well. Oh my goodness me, hold on to your hats, hold on to your lungs and your breath and everything else in between as they come through Ascari. David, this is starting to get a little bit dicey and fighty here right now.
Yeah, absolutely. Just over halfway through this first race of the evening. Still got a 45-minute one to come. He's going to try and send it around the outside of Parabolica. That's not going to be ideal. He's going to be a little bit compromised coming out the exit, but he will get onto the power a little bit earlier as long as he can keep it in the confines of the track, which he just about does. He's lost a little little bit of time to Peters. Importantly, though, he's still very much alongside. What he's got to be careful of, as you can see them weaving now to break the toe, he's got to be careful because he's got Anders Dahl right in his real tracks. And then you've got Senna Lansens going into the first corner. They're 3 wide going into turn number 1. On to lap number 7. It's going to be the last of the late breakers. Vince Peters, you can just see him easing off the brakes, trying to get in. First apex, second apex. The move. And he's given him a hip check. And Senna Lansens has gone, thank you very much, good sir. I'll take a piece of that action. And Vince Peters has dropped down a 4th position now.
Wild, absolutely wild. That was to the wall in terms of the determination and the respect that both those drivers showing to each other. That, ladies and gentlemen, that is exactly what sim racing is all about. Sending it to the absolute limit. And look at this, Vince Peters still not done, still trying to send it right the inside there. But it's surely not going to happen as they come through the first of the Lesmos here, down into the second Lesmo just now. Senna Lansens still holding on to that position there, and this allows Nick Maidsen to get a little bit of a reprieve, a little bit of respite, and a little bit of a breathing space between him and Vince Peters. Peters is absolutely foaming at the mouth. This is not the same driver, David, that we've seen all through the season. Positively, I don't want to use the word unhinged, but he is desperate to get past Senna Lansens right now.
Yeah, it's a really weird one. Like I was saying before, I didn't think he'd have to push as hard as he is, but he has really got the bit between his teeth, isn't he? I think he's under pressure from the fact that Renzo Willenbrooks jumped onto the back of this train as well. You can see he's half a second back off the back of him. You can see that's Anders Dahl going up the inside into Parabolica past Senna Lansens. I wonder if that is a bit of an architected move just to put Lansens on the back foot a little bit and try and get Vince Peters past as well and see if they can release him. But this is working perfectly well. That's why the pit lane think he's going up for Nick Madsen. He's going so close to the line. All bit of contact there. A little bit of a wobble from Anders Dahl down the start-finish straight. Senna Lansens is under pressure from Vince Peters. He's going to make the move. Is he going to try again? We're not going to go 3 wide again, are we, chaps? Please. I don't need that 2 laps in a row. Vince Peters manages to get around his teammate and now focuses his eyes on that man in the lead of the race, that Nick Madsen, number 20 car now.
I tell you what, I mean, Anders Dahl is the wingman of all wingmen right now, doing that job on Senna Lansens, basically getting in front of him, obstructing that car so that Vince Peters can get past. And I feel a little bit sorry for Nick Maidsen right now, because it's almost like a tag team wrestling match going on here between Vince Peters and Nick Maidsen, and it looks like Anders Dahl at the moment not going to have a further part to play in this other than holding back Senna Lansens just now. And as you said, Renzo Eulenbroek is very close to getting involved in this one as well. But we've only got 6 minutes left to go in this race, and I know Vince Peters is fast, but how hard is he pushing this car right now? And does he need to push the car this hard right now? Nick Maidsen has proven beyond the shadow of a doubt that he is just as capable of driving this car defensively. But my God, we are in for a hell of a 5 minutes.
Yeah, absolutely. It's going to be an absolute fight to the finish, isn't it? I mean, look at these guys, top 5 in the class, separated by just over a second and a half at the moment, which is nothing short of incredible, you've got to say. But this is crazy. I mean, I don't know why Vince Peters is battling as hard as he is. I fully appreciate he would want to try and get every single position he can, because he's a racer at the end of the day. He's going to want to try and win every round and every race that he can, but it just seems like he might be pushing a little bit too hard. A little mistake here, and that puts him in a whole world of pain, because he loses maybe 25, 30 points to Nick Madsen in 1/2 a round. So it's a balancing act. Look, if it was me, of course, I'd want to be going for the fight for the first position in that class, but you kind of have to take that approach, especially when you've got 5 minutes left of the first race of the evening, knowing you've got that reverse grid as well. Take the points and move on, and sit and take the hit on the 3 points, I think it is, that you lose for coming second in the sprint race. Get the position on the grid for the 45-minute one and see if you can disappear in that one instead.
Well, we'll see what happens, but also just to bring you up to speed then on the rest of the classes then. Cody Pride out in charge in the Pro-Am class by 3 seconds. Then we saw him do exactly this on the double bounce at Donington Park just a couple of weeks ago there. He's ahead of Igor Kos there. We've got change for the lead in the AM classes. Jason Dilworth takes the lead from Ryan Hamilton. So Hamilton, the two of them are scrapping it out just now, and it looks like Dilworth's off. Dilworth is lost a lot of time there and is losing quite a bit there, so I wonder if there's damage to Jason Dilworth just now. He gets back onto the track here. we'll keep our eye on this one. But honestly, David, I've not seen this sort of frantic behaviour from Vince Peters. It does make me very, very concerned that the championship now is starting to get a little bit the better of him in terms of that composure that we saw all the way through the championship here.
Yeah, not sure, like I say, just a little bit of pressure on him. You can see now, fortunately, the timing chart has managed to reassert itself, and we've now got Dahl on the pro leaderboard, so we can now see that in a little bit more detail. We'll have to try and figure our way around it. Lovely camera angle this, by the way, looking through the trees to try and find them. As you see them on the start-finish straight, that's Anders Dahl getting in the mix as well. He's in the black backgrounded Porsche Cup car. Vince Peters with the white trim on the back of that one. He's going to try and go to the outside into the first apex, try and get the switchback move on the exit. It doesn't look like he will, and that's a good exit from Nick Madsen, but it just shows you how powerful that toe is. As soon as you can break out of it, you look at Cody Pride, like you said before, if you can get out of that toe, it really gives you a chance to stretch your legs a little bit. But because Vince Peters has got that opportunity and he's within that time frame, he can just stick on the back of Nick Madsen and just put him under pressure all the way through like he is doing now.
Incredible stuff then. Nick Madsen still trying to hold on to this lead from Vince Peters, but Peters absolutely dogged in his determination to try and take this position from Nick Madsen. The gap just 1/10 of a second with 3 minutes left to go as Dan Sedgley recovers after a spin there. That is after turn one, and I wonder if he has been helped around there. That gap now going up slightly to 2/10 of a second. Dan Sedgley then late on the brakes into turn one there, tries to pull the car in, and does he get hit? Oh no, he loses it all by himself, and that's an awkward one because that car behind, really, David, had absolutely nowhere left to go.
Yeah, very much a passenger. I think it was Fiero who went into the back of him. It's a shame to see because it was one of those where, like you say, Fiero's got no chance of getting out of the way there. Just Dan essentially getting a little bit too hot or heavy on the power, trying to keep the position, which is completely understandable. And then, just jumps on the brakes, try and halt the spin. Yeah, as I said, nothing Hein Fiero could do, very much a passenger in that incident. Shame for Dan, shame for Hein Fiero because he's not as come off as badly. But yeah, not what we want to see in the back of that Porsche, looking a little bit battered and bruised.
Here we go then, running down the front straight then. It's Vince Peters in a race with Nick Madsen, the two of them going side by side. And look at that, Dahl fancies a go as well. It's going to be late on the brakes for Nick Madsen. He's going to have that inside line and cover off the inside then for the next corner as well. So Nick Madsen still in the lead of this race. A little bit of a slide from the rears as Vince Peters tries to get the power down as early as he possibly can. It's Anders Dahl in third position and still Senny Lansons in fourth. But look at that, Renzo Eilenbrink now firmly a part of this battle here. And David, I am actually genuinely nervous now. I've seen things like this go down to the wire and the most unexpected thing happen. So I'm going to call it right now. Renzo Eilenbrink's going to win this race.
I think you did that and you hit the nail on the head at Donington a few weeks ago, didn't you? So I wouldn't be surprised if the same thing happens again. If my calculations are correct, this will be the final lap as well. I don't think these cars will make it the entire way through to the start-finish line in the next 40 seconds. It remains to be seen, but that might be why they're putting themselves under a bit more pressure. Saw Senny Lansons looking at the inside of Anders Dahl coming into the first Lesmo, didn't make the move done, and now it is a case of, can Vince Peters get that toe? He's going to want to try and stick very, very closely behind him going into Ascari, which he is doing now. Try and get a run into the final back straight and see if he can get that move done into Parabolica. 20 seconds on the clock. I think this is going to be the final lap.
Here we go then, it's a run down the back straight, what potentially could be the last time then. They're going to go side by side. It is literally Nick Madsen and Vince Peters side by side. Peters has the outside line, but it's going to be Madsen on the inside. He's got the advantage. Peters still has the power round as it comes side by side round Parabolica. Look up the inside. There goes Anders Dahl trying to have a go, but it's not going to happen. It's surely going to be Nick Madsen. That gap is coming down though, and it's going to be Nick Madsen ahead of Vince Peters. Anders Dahl in third position. Senny Lansons in fourth position. Ren Eulenbrink in fifth. And my God almighty, 9/1000ths of a second there. David, that was unbelievably close as Cody Pride takes the win by 5.5 seconds. That is probably the most commanding victory we've seen in Pro-Am this season. Igor Koss in second place. It's then Sean Reynolds in third, Steve Martin in fourth position, Harry Wills in fifth. Ryan Hamilton's going to take the win. For the AMs, Jason Dilworth in second, and then Eric Benson in third place. Chris Chatterton in fourth, Simon Underhill in fifth, and Ross Dunstan in sixth position. Oh my goodness me, David, what do you think of that first race?
Oh, I mean, wow. That was amazing. I was so worried at a point there. I think you and I thought the same thing, and you see a little bit going into the final quarter or first quarter. Fortunately, obviously, the race is finished now, but those timings tell the story. But I was so worried seeing Anders Dahl kind of sticking at the inside, coming out the exit of Parabolica. I was so concerned it was going to be that incident, and I could, if that line was any further forward, Vince Peters had that win. But unbelievable stuff. That was incredible. Another 45 minutes of that. That'll do me fine.
Oh my goodness me then. So confirmation for the AM class then. Ryan Hamilton takes the win from Jason Dilworth. Eric Benson in third. Chris Chatterton in fourth position. Simon Underhill in fifth. Ross Dunstan in sixth. And DNF for Dan Gilding and Dean Timms. Moving to the Pro AM class. And in first place it was Cody Pride by 5 seconds over Igor Koss. Stuart Reynolds in third. Steve Martin in fourth position. Harry Wills in fifth, James Fierro in sixth, and Dan Sedgley at the back of the Pro-Am class in seventh position. Then on to the pros, Nick Maidson. It says there by 0.2 of a second there. I think that lies. I think that was much, much closer than that. I think that was about 8/1000 of a second. Vince Peters in second place from Anders Dahl in third. Senny Lansons in fourth. Renzo Eulenbrook in fifth. And Arias Yamantis in sixth position. Your top five split by 0.3 of a second at the line. So there we go then. Race 1 out of 2 is done and dusted here at Monza. We are going to be for an absolutely spellbinding second race of the night. We're going to take a very short break. And when we come back, we'll have race 2 of the evening. A very good evening. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, from the madness that happened. We've got a special guest, David. David Russell joining me here in the commentary box tonight. Good evening to Nick Maidson. Congratulations on that win, buddy. What on earth happened in that first race?
Thanks a lot, guys. Oof, that was a really tough battle. I realized this one was a sprint race because, every second race is a sprint race. And I totally forgot that. Also, as you saw on Road Atlanta, I was fueling way too much in my last stint. And in this race, I had fuel enough. I had 18 liters crossing the line. So I'm really glad that I could hold the lead, and I tried everything. Tried my really best to hold them up. But yeah, when you're such stupid and taking too much fuel, it's amazing to win still. So yeah, it was tough.
So hang on, am I right in saying, Nick, that you're saying that you won that race with fuel for a full endurance stint?
Yes, exactly. I was calculating before that race that I had to put on 24 liters in my last stint, 2 times 55 liters, and then last stint 24. So yeah, but after I saw that that was only after a few laps, 10 laps to go, I was thinking, oh my god, what I'm doing? I'm gonna lose this race because of that. And I try my best to close the gap to Vince Peters in the final championship standing. So. Yeah, it was really, really tough driving with way too much weight in the car.
That talking of Vince Peters, that brings us nicely onto this point here, Nick. What have you done to him? Because we've always seen Vince this season as cool, calm, collected, just picking his way through the crowd. He wanted you, and he wanted that position, come hell or high water, like nothing we've seen so far this season. Any ideas what you've done to incur his wrath?
Yeah, I think every driver is always trying to push the hardest possible, and this limit we are at here is quite tough. So everybody is pushing each other all the way. But yeah, I must say I'm a little bit tired of team driving. Yeah, it's tough to be alone out there with no teammates to back me up. But yeah, I try my best, and it went well in the end.
We actually did joke about that on during the first race. It was almost like a tag team wrestling match with you and Vince and Anders, because there was it was quite obvious what had happened as you exited the parabolica to get you into the position so that that he could just head past. But you've got the ace cards now. In terms of having that first race under your belt, you now know what you've done wrong with the fuel. You must feel really good going into race 2.
Yeah, I feel really good, but as the rule said, we always start from behind in the championship standings, so I will start second last. It's not so bad. We're only 6 drivers today, which is a bit of a shame. But yeah, all the fight is all my ass is on Vince and what he's doing, and yeah, seems like no one wanted to fuel safe here, but I think it will be a fact in race 2 to fuel safe behind the others. And yeah, let's see what happens.
Well, Nick, thank you so much for coming and having a chat with us just now. Best of luck for race 2, and we'll see you back out there on the grid.
Thanks a lot, guys. Hopefully with to the limit of fuel.
Excellent stuff. Well, there we go. Thank you, Nick Maidson. So, David, some interesting words there. Firstly, Nick admitting that he didn't properly fuel up. But, yeah, I mean, wow. That was a very interesting interview there.
Yeah, I mean, imagine what would have happened had he fueled properly. I say properly as if he's made a massive mistake. Of course, it still ended up working quite well for him, didn't it? But, it shows you how intense these kind of things can be, and even the simplest mistake can make things that bit more difficult for you. Obviously, as I said before, we can't assume how it would have gone, and I think it'd be interesting to see. Like I say, he ended, I think, what did he say? He fueled up 55 litres, he ended with 18. But that's not going to be anywhere near enough. You can't do a 55 litre tank on a full 45-minute race here at Monza, so be interesting to see how people look at it. Are they going to do what Nick said? Are they going to do fuel saving, or are they going to go hell for leather, try and build that gap and see if they can make it up in the pit lane? If we're going to see action like we did before, I'd be very happy, but I think we might see a little bit more of a strategic approach in this one as well.
See, I'm not sure, because obviously Vince, I think, quite honestly, Nick has got Vince rattled a little bit. I think Vince is used to getting his own way, and certainly if he... what kind of tainted things a little bit was Anders Dahl getting involved in that tonight, because it was very blatant what actually happened there. And the thing is that, you know, Vince Peters has got the skill to fight Nick Maidson on his own, and yes, you're going to take every opportunity you can, but I mean, really, I don't think that was actually needed in that first race.
Yeah, I agree. I think it did seem a little bit kind of... I can't think of many words to describe it. It did seem a little bit kind of a little bit about face, a bit weird in terms of having to do that. Look, I don't think that was planned. Not before the race, at least. I think when you get into the race and you think, oh wow, this guy's... I mean, I know he's pretty quick anyway. He's getting in the middle of things. Let's see if we can kind of give a bit of gamesmanship, I suppose you'd call it. I think, yeah, he's going to use every advantage he can to try and hold on to that lead. That's what every racer will do. But from our position, I agree. I think it can sometimes come off as a little bit rough and ready, a little bit strange. But look, these things happen. I'm sure Nick's definitely seemed happy. He managed to fight both of them off with fuel to spare. So if you can do that again in the next race, then that's going to be nearly 10 points back off of the lead of Vince Peters in the championship. So if he continues to do that, then who knows? 2 rounds left after this one, still potentially an outside chance of getting that championship away from Vince's arms.
Well, that's a very, very good point. Now, confirmation in the drivers' chat of something that I thought I saw on the stream, and I didn't say anything, when Cody Pride was behind Igor Kos, and it was coming up the back straight towards the Parabolica, and I think he'd said, he's very, very close to him. I thought that Cody Pride was bump drafting Igor Kos, and he's just confirmed he was doing that. I think he was trying to see whether or not it actually does do anything. And that's something we've seen on a lot of races. We saw it quite a lot during the Daytona 24 through the different splits and on the different streams, and I saw it on a championship last night in the LMP2s, and seeing it tonight with the Porsches. Do you think that now drivers are starting to get used to the idea of it?
I think you might be right. Yeah, personally, it's not the kind of thing I would do. For me, it's probably not because I don't think it's fair. I just think I probably do it wrong and I'd end up in the wall, or the other person who is bumped.
You and me both, brothers. You and me both on that one.
It's one of those things, isn't it? You get it right, it'll work really well. You get it wrong, you're in the wall. I've probably not quite got the guile to do it properly. So, look, if it works for people, it works. But I saw the same thing, and interestingly, I think from what I was getting from the impression of Cody's messages was, it didn't sound like it was doing much, which is something that I thought would have been quite powerful around here. Seemingly not the case, but we've got another 45 minutes to find out. So I'm sure we'll see plenty more people, maybe not before, but now that they've seen him talking about it, maybe we'll see some other people try and employ some of those tactics as well.
It could very well be the case, and also a great chance to fuel save. I just thought of that just now, actually, sticking in behind the car in front. I believe that was a big thing of why they were doing that during the Daytona 24, was to obviously to try and save fuel during their stints and try and minimise the amount of time that they actually did have to come into pit lane. Just thinking, as we're about half a minute away from getting back to the action here. Just thinking as well, what do we think in terms of the championship here would have been your chosen circuit? What out of the 10 races that are going on would you like to have done?
Oh, that's a really difficult question, especially because, as I've told you before, I've recently jumped into the iRacing system myself, so I've tried to have quite a few of these now. I'll throw one quickly out there that I'm not a fan of yet, but I think it's just due to the lack of practice on his Sebring. I can't get my head around that properly at all. I think it's a really difficult one, isn't it? Road Atlanta would be a good one. Obviously, you can't say any fairer than the Nordschleifer as well, especially when they had that endurance race. That was fantastic stuff. But I think it's so Le Mans. I'd say it might be slightly outside shout, but the Red Bull Ring was probably one of my favourites because it's, personally for me, it's a track. It's not very difficult to get it wrong. It's quite simple, but it always is one of those tracks that yields really good racing. And I think if I'm going to be quick at any track, a simple, relatively short one is probably my best chance of doing it. So if I had to pick one, I'd go for the Red Bull Ring. What about yourself? Nordschleife is life. Every day of the week, that's 100% my track that I would like to have taken part in. Obviously, that was race 5. I think I would have done very, very well on that event. I would have crashed at least twice during the whole night. I also just noticed that I think we're going to be missing Chris Chatterton in this race too. I just seen it in the driver chat that he's suffering from a migraine, so he can't actually see the screen at the moment. I've only ever had a migraine once in my life, and I swear to God, I thought I was dying from a brain tumour. I'd never experienced anything like it. It's such a bizarre feeling. I don't know if you've had one before, David, but when your vision goes completely blurry, you get a pounding head, like horrible, horrific headache, and it's a frightening experience. Yeah, I feel for Chris big time. I get them on a semi-regular basis, and they are arguably one of the worst things you can possibly experience. Because, like you said, it's not only the pounding headache and horrible feeling; it's that weird kind of you know it's coming because you see that kind of flashing image in the back of your eye that you can't shake, and I go, right, well, migraine's on the way. I better go to bed. I feel for him. It's a shame we won't get to see him. Of course, he would have been. I'm sure. Well, he will be missed, of course, in this race. Not only for the fact that he's doing a fantastic job in the race so far, but yeah, he's top of the championship. So it'll probably go to his drop round. I didn't quite catch his result of it in the race before. It's completely escaped my mind, but hopefully that'll be his drop round, and he can carry on next week and come back ready and fighting, raring to go.
Well, fingers crossed that he does do exactly that. Like say, I've only ever had a migraine once, and the next day I ended up having a pair of glasses. So work that one out. But practice is done and dusted, David. We get ready to go racing. And now this is the interesting thing, is the fact that Anders Dahl ahead of Vince Peters, but importantly Vince Peters ahead of Nick Maidsen. I wonder, does that not mean that Nick Maidsen, is he going to have the outside line for the next turn? I think he will. Yeah, so Nick Maidsen is going to have the outside line, I believe, into turn 1.
Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah, just looking at the well, you can see Anders Dahl is already loaded in, so presumably Nick Maidsen is just going to sit just in behind him. So yeah, I think you're right. We'll be on the outside line. Going into the first corner, that might make things a little bit easier. It just depends on what Anders Dahl does going into that first corner. He's got every right, he's got every likelihood, shall I say, just to make it a little bit more politically correct, because I don't think he's entitled to break a little bit earlier than he might normally do. Perhaps he'll guise that as being a little bit more cautious into the first corner. It's a longer race. Will remain to be seen, but he's in a good position for Vince's sake. Very much not so for Nick's sake. But look, safety car's going away. Lead them off, and in a minute we'll find out exactly what's going to happen.
Oh, I'm a bit excited about this one. Dan Sedgley leads off the Pro-Ams with Harry Wills in second. Row 2 is James Fierro and Steve Martin. Stuart Reynolds and Cody Pride on row 3, and Igor Kos at the back of that group. For the AMS then, Ross Dunstan leads off with Simon Underhill on row 1. Row 2 is Eric Benson and Jason Dilworth. And then on row 3 is going to be Ryan Hamilton and Daniel Gilding. So here we go then, out of Ascari, the car's running down. There's something feels quite ominous about this. It feels like, yeah, something is brewing after this one. So as you can see now, I'm just also noticing, Nick Maidsen will pull back as well, because I see Budovan Kuster has got himself up into to fourth position. There we go. That's it, all coming its way back down. Now I wonder, this is where it makes me curious, because it makes me think that Anders Dahl might try and just hold off a little bit here, but I hope not. We'll wait and see. That's exactly what he's doing. Do you know that? He's kind of holding back a little bit here, but we get ready to go racing. Hijinks, shenanigans, it's all about to kick off here. The red light is about to come on as the pace car pulls in then for this pro group. You can see picture for the second race, the feature race of round 8, and here we go then. The lights go on, the lights go off, and look at that, Nick Maidsen is having none of it. He is absolutely having none of the nonsense from Anders Dahl, 3 wide into turn 1. What is going to happen here? It's going to be last of the late breakers, but look at that, Nick Maidsen right the outside in turn 1. You're kidding me. No way, David Dressel. No way has he just pulled that off. Nick Maidsen with a move possibly of the season right there.
Wow. What a move. Nick Maidsen, that is sensational. I'll come back to it in a minute, because Pro-Am's getting ready to go, and it looks like Dan Sedgley's got a stormer of a start.
Certainly has. He is absolutely off, as David Anderson would say, like a scalded cat or a rat up a drain pipe. But he is away, and Dan Sedgley then away with James Fierro. Igor Kos making a great move up, takes 2 positions there as we see the AM start now. Ross Dunstan has the unenviable task of trying to keep all 4 of the Nomad Sim Racing cars behind him right now, and long may that continue as he makes his way down into turn 1 just now. It's Arias Yamaha Mantis still onto the back of Nick Maidson just now. You can see picture in picture Gianpiero trying to make hay while the sun shines here at Monza. But what a race we are having here. Arias Gimantis off the track. So Arias Gimantis loses a position, and that looks like it's going to have been contact that ends up sending him out. He gets back on in 5th position, but I wonder how badly that car is damaged. And oh my god, it's happened already. 1 minute and 40 into the race, and Vince Peters is now 0.6 of a second behind Nick Maidson. Game on, gentlemen, as you were.
Fasten your seatbelts, boys and girls. This one's about to get very, very spicy indeed. 7/10, as you said, between them. But let's just go back to that move from Nick Madsen off the start. And we were talking about how we thought Anders Dahl might potentially try and prevent the move from going into the first corner. He didn't get the chance to because Nick was so close behind him off the start line. He managed to get alongside him before even the break is into the corner, and he just bled the brake off so gently. He just blended it through really nicely and managed to get around Arias Gimantis. I wonder if Gimantis was being a little bit more cautious. Of course, he's now dropped all the way down as we saw him cut Ascari over the grass a moment ago. What worries me is the fact that Budovin Kuster has also joined the party as well. We seem to have lost Renzo Eulenbroek between the two races, which is a bit of a shame. So there's only 5 running in the pro class in this second race. But look, let's just confirm the fact that Budovin Kuster is actually, or I believe, is a teammate of Anders Dahl and Vince Peters as well. So this could get very interesting. Nick Madsen was worried about having 2 of them. He's now got a 3rd one on the case.
Yeah, this is not the greatest thing. Can you imagine being Nick Madsen's rear view mirror at this point? It's just like hell on earth coming charging down towards you. 0.7 of a second was the gap. We'll keep an eye on that. Dan Setchley still in the lead of the Pro-Am class just now, ahead of Steve Martin, Gianpiero and Harry Wills as well. Igor Koss in 6th and Cody Pride at the back of that group. Not looking like he's making any headway into that, but I wonder if that is strategy right now. On board with Igor Koss as we come into the second Lesmo then. This is on the run down to the Ascari chicane here, and again tucked in very, very nicely into the tail of Stuart Reynolds. And the 5 cars there, the 6 cars are there, separated by about 2.5 seconds, as is the gap between the pros just now, Nick Maidson, Vince Peters, Anders Dahl and Budovin Kuster, as is the gap in the AM class between Simon Underhill, Jason Dilworth, Ryan Hamilton and Eric Benson. So as it stands at the moment, 4 minutes into a 45-minute race, and yeah, this is very, very spicy on every single account. Yes, it's exciting for the pros, but given the championship permutations are so close with Pro-Am and AM, this is literally on a knife edge tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, look, you take Chris Chatterton out of the places in the AM class. Sorry, that throws that championship wide open, of course. And yeah, looking at the Pro-Am class as well, Dan Sedgley, Stuart Reynolds both in, but Dan Sedgley importantly 2nd in the championship, but leading in class. Stuart Reynolds, of course, down in 5th, as you can see there as well. Here's Vince Peters leading the team charge on the back of Nick Madsen, the number 20 car, going through Lesmo 1 and going into Lesmo 2, just pokes the inside of that 45 car just into the right side mirror of Nick Madsen's car. It's just interesting to see, but yeah, it's generally seems, I don't want to say muted's not the right word, but it seems a little bit more cautious to start off this race. I think the guys are aware we've got more than double the race distance, and I think we might be starting to see a little bit of fuel saving coming into play.
That's exactly what I'm thinking here, and Vince Peters doing a grand job of sticking behind Nick Maidson right now as we see this is the run down. And again, Vince Peters would have the opportunity here, but he's staying in. That's 100%. That's what it looks like. It looks like a little bit of fuel saving there as Nick Maidson later on the brakes has to force Vince Peters around the outside. That's never going to work. He'll try and get the cutback here. But if this is me, if I'm Vince Peters, I'm just tucking in. I'm just staying there. Nudge him along. Make him do all the work. But don't try and make the move. This is what I don't understand with Vince, is the need to make the move this early into the race. This could potentially cause more problems than it gains.
Yeah, absolutely. Like you say, it's just not something that needs to be done. I think the problem for Nick Madsen really is you see just a little bit of touching onto the gravel there from Vince Peters. That's going to impact his exit, but I don't think he's going to be hugely concerned. Nick Madson's really in the worst position right now because he's not going to be able to save any fuel unless he lifts and coasts, in which case he gives up the chance to potentially lose the position going into the first into one of the braking zones. So he's going to have to think smartly and try and keep that position if he can, or if he can give up the position and try and get into the slipstream himself, see if he can do something that way. But the problem is he's got two more Volante Esports drivers right behind him, so he's kind of stuck in between a rock and a hard place. It's very difficult for him to really kind of put any kind of force in terms of strategy on the race.
Yeah, you're absolutely right on that one then. So as we said, it's still exactly the same in terms of tightness for the Pro-Ams as well. Dan Sedgley now 1.1 seconds ahead of Steve Martin, who is just a couple of tenths ahead of Jaime Fierro, you can see here. Harry Wills in 4th position, Stuart Reynolds in 5th, and Igor Kos in 6th position as well. Looking to the AM battle though, that is very, very close right now. Jason Dilworth in the lead of that one from Ryan Hamilton and Simon Underhill, with Eric Benson in 5th position, and then Dan Gilding and Ross Dunstan 6th and 7th, with Chris Chatterton and Dean Timms not taking the lead on this one. Jaime Fierro has a look up the inside into Ascari then. They're going to be side by side. Thinks better of it, pulls back out there and decides that discretion, the better part of valour here, especially this early stage in the race here. But it looks like we're going to have side by side again between Vince Peters and with Nick Maidson then. Here we go, all hell's kicking off, and have a look, because there comes that is going to be Budivin Kuster trying to have a little look around the inside of Anders Dahl. This is teamwork right here, because what they're trying to do is Budivin Kuster just basically trying to be a bit of a nuisance to Nick Maidson right now, and he's going to be getting a lifetime supply of fly spray, I think, as Nick Maidson has a little bit of a touch there. I'm not a big fan of that, and it looks like that's going to be Nick Maidson with the inside line for the chicane. But that looked a little bit close for my liking there, as that looks like Steve Martin ends up losing the position to Dan Sedgley and Harry Wills. In fact, Sedgley and Fierro now fighting it out tooth and nail here.
Yeah, I wonder if Dan Sedgley's made a bit of a mistake there. In fact, actually, you can see now, as that slowdown, it looks like it is from Jaime Fierro. It looks like he's dropping right the way back, so he must have got a slowdown. You say you've cut the course. I wonder if he's done a bit of that. This is Cody Pride, who's currently propping up the Pro-Am class, and this is probably why just about manages to keep it on the track, I assume. I was going to say we're not going to see anything really silly after that. And this is what happened to Jaime Fierro going into the first corner. That is, a little bit of a touch to him as Steve Martin. Lovely little drift. Not the place you'd expect to see him doing it, but did a fantastic job of holding on to it. And there you go. That's where your slowdown comes from, Mr. Fierro. You've cut the chicane, and you are going to have to pay the price. Fortunately for him, though, he's lost a bit of time in terms of Dan Sedgley in the lead, but he's managed to keep very close into that battle in patches behind.
Oh my goodness me, 10 minutes barely gone here, and Nick Maidson is having to fight everyone tooth and nail, as that's Vince Peters on the inside. And look at this, Budivin Kuster is going to try and have a run as Vince Peters has got overspeed coming down. What does Nick Maidson have to do though? Because he goes one way, then goes the other. It's now 3 wide as he comes down the main straight into turn 1 there. He's going to be later on the brakes, keeps that position, but Vince Peters is going to try and sneak on the inside. And again, what does Nick Maidson have to do? He's going to have the inside line again. This is nuts, absolutely nuts. Nick Maidson, fair play to him. I've got to be honest, I am absolutely team Nick right now, because he is sticking his elbows out. He is really, you've got to say, the underdog right now, given that there's 3 cars and one of him.
I was going to say, yeah, you love the underdog story. You can see it's just flipped into the picture. I think he has now confirmed he's lost the position to Vince Peters, but importantly, he's kept Budivin Kuster and Anders Dahl behind, although Kuster looks to the inside of the first Lesmo. That's not where a move typically would take place. Unfortunately, managed to avoid him. You can see Vince Peters already trying to break the toe, even on that little break between the 2 Lesmos. This is Ryan Hamilton, trying to go up the inside of Jason Dilworth into the first chicane. Looks like he's got the move done, but it is Jason Dilworth going to try and get the switch back. This is team racing here. 2 Nomad Sim Racing drivers battling out for P1 in class. Simon Underhill and Eric Benson close in behind, and Dan Gilding and Ross Dunstan a little bit further back. You see Dean Timms and Chris Chatterton are retired from this race, unfortunately. But even now, we're 10 minutes in, we're edging towards pretty much a quarter, a third of the way into this race, and there's still, the gaps, as you can see, are still so close. Look at this weaving, this is ridiculous. Irinieri Shimantis is back onto the back of his train. He was 4 seconds back a couple of laps ago.
This is just brilliant. I'm loving this. This is one of the best races we have had here. Nick Mason really needs to get the head down now, though, and focus on that car in front as Vince Peters weaving from side to side. He's got the toe now, though. Look at the gap starting to come down. It's under 2/10 of a second. Here comes Nick Mason. Is he going to try and send it up the inside? No, Vince Peters goes defensive at such an early stage, and he's stuck in between a rock and a hard place here as Nick Mason trying to force the issue there. And again, team tactics there. I'm really not impressed with that at all. Absolutely not impressed with that at all. So blatant what is going on between those three cars there as Vince Peters slows down to make sure that it's his teammate that has the inside line for turn 2 there. I don't understand why. I don't understand why it can't be left to the two of them to fight it out. And for me, again, and this is 100% personal opinion here, David, that leaves a very bitter taste in my mouth.
No, 100%. I couldn't agree with you more. Normally, look, I'm all here for battling and things like that. And if the battling is fair between these guys, it doesn't matter which teams they're from. But that 100% was a calculated move from Vince Peters. He had no right to brake that heavily and slow down that much going to that first corner. He could have easily allowed Nick Madsen to come around the outside. Anders Dahl would have sat him behind. Budaviku, would have sat him behind, and nothing would have happened. Combine that with a hip check on the outside of Prima Variante, just to kind of rub salt in the wound. That seemed... look at this here, you can see he goes a little bit wide. He catches the apex of the corner, he shoves him out a little bit, but that's just not... yeah, that's not okay in my book. I completely agree. Very, very underhand tactics indeed.
It's Panto season here at the Race Anywhere Porsche Cup. Either way, Vince Peters out in the lead of this race, and you've got to say now, very, very unlikely to see Nick Mason getting away past the three cars in front of him. He might get past Erich Giamantis, but I can imagine Anders Dahl and Budavin Kuster are going to make his life a living hell for that one. So we'll keep an eye on that. But back to the Pro-Am fight. Dan Sedgley out by a nice little gap this early on, 2.5 seconds as we cut back to the pro battle just now, and that is Anders Dahl onto the inside of the corner there. A little bit of a nudge on the back of Erich Giamantis there. I think frustration setting in from Nick Mason as we cut back to Steve Martin in this Pro-Am battle. He is chasing down Stuart Reynolds, and Corey Pride actually somehow now on for a podium position at this early stage. Now he was at the back of this group. He's got himself through there, takes one position and is going to, you would think, take that position, although Martin forces the car on the inside there and says, no, sorry, I think you'll find that this is my position. Nick Mason, though, has got past Erich Giamantis. Next target is going to be Anders Dahl. Oh my me, this is starting to get very, very spicy right now, and Corey Pride is not wanting to let this position go at all.
No, absolutely. It's just unfortunate for him. I was about to say he will take the outside apex into Seconda Variante, so he's not had the chance to hold on to that position or make the move entirely. He's going to have to spend a little bit more time behind Steve Martin, but I'm sure, well, I mean, it looks like he's definitely got the pace to make that move. He really enjoys these sprint format races. Of course, like you said before, going back to Donington a couple of weeks ago, took the win in both races in that one. He really thrives on these shorter race formats, and with another one left at Bathurst to go 2 weeks from now, I'm sure he'll be licking his lips and hoping for a good result in that one as well. Of course, still, what we got? We've still got 30 minutes to go in this one. Still potentially a chance. He's only, 3.5 seconds off the lead. There's still a chance he could take the win again and make it 2 for 2 from 2 in the sprint races formats in the last couple of weeks.
Yep, certainly could. So we see Steve Martin here desperately trying to hold on to that position from Cody Pride, but Cody looking very, very interested in making that move into the Parabolica then as they are away to start the next lap. And if you can believe they're already on lap 8 just now, that is what they're away to start here. And just having a quick look at the AM battle as well. Ryan Hamilton still just 0.3 of a second ahead of Jason Dilworth, but here comes Cody Pride then side by side down the front stretch. Then it's going to be the battle of the late breakers into turn 1. Looks like Cody Pride might have it, but is Steve Martin going to roll off the brakes again, try and fire it in? He can. Cody's got the move done. That was beautiful, and that was a very well executed move as we see Harry Wills for 6th position here. He's got James Fierro going to try and pop it up on the inside here. This is what happened with James Fierro. Took the inside line there, and that was a nice move there by Harry Wills. and got that position done. So that was a nice little bit of battling going on here between these two, and still raging on. So clarify exactly what is going on then, as we have 15 or 16 minutes gone in this feature race here at Monza. Vince Peters is in the lead ahead of Budivin Kuster and Anders Dahl. Nick Maidsen was in the lead of the race, but succumbed to the pressure from the three team cars. Got put back down to 5th position behind Iris Jumantis, but has managed to get that position back from Iris Jumantis. Dan Sedgley in the lead of the Pro-Am battle from Stuart Reynolds, and Cody Pride close behind. Steve Martin ahead of Igor Koss, and Harry Wills ahead of Gian Fierro. In the AM class, Ryan Hamilton is ahead of Jason Dilworth, Eric Benson in 3rd, with Dan Gilding in 4th position, and Ross Dunstan in 5th position. Simon Underhill down in 6th in that AM battle. So yeah, this is starting to get really, really fighty right now. Maidsen's got ahead of Dahl. They're side by side then, going down into turn 1 then. So Anders Dahl and Nick Maidsen, here we go. This is what we wanted to see. The scrap going on. Oh, a little bit of a hip check there. And that, my friends, is karma, as Nick Maidsen runs the car to the outside, says not a chance. See you later, sunshine. And that's going to be down into the first chicane then. And next on Nick Maidsen's hit list is going to be Budivin Kuster. If you've ever seen the film John Wick, this whole situation is going to be very, very familiar to you. Nick Maidsen is like a man possessed right now. Revenge is the only thing on his mind, and he's got 30 minutes in which to do it, as we see Stuart Reynolds still trying to hold on to Cody Pride, but Cody Pride is going to have the inside line into the chicane. Cody Pride doesn't even need to wait for the chicane, takes 2nd place. This is another man possessed, driven like a banshee right now, and Cody Pride is on track to potentially make it 2 out of 2 again in the season. And Cody Pride, an inspiring drive from the youngster.
Yeah, absolutely, doing a fantastic job, isn't he? I mean, yeah, lovely move there from him on Stuart Reynolds. Just managed to, well, we can only assume didn't quite catch it from the first chicane, but can only imagine he's done exactly what I would have personally done myself, which is go around the outside of the first apex, get it into the inside for the second one, and just do what you can to try and hold the outside, and then you'll get that inside as it goes into the second chicane, which is pretty much what we saw. So perfect textbook move from him. 2.5 seconds at the road is the current class leader Dan Sedgley. If he can keep Stuart Reynolds at bay for another lap or two, I think he'll start to build on that gap, and he'll start to close down that man in front. Going back to Nick Madsen, though, like you said, he's going to have the bit between his teeth, isn't he? He's less than he was less than 0.3 of a second behind Budivin Kuster a second ago. That's probably because of the slipstream going down the main straight. He is going to be a man possessed, I think is fair to say, and with good reason. Contentious circumstances is my suggestion in terms of how I would word the fact that he is no longer in the lead of this race. Yes, I think that the move for the lead of the race from Peters was fine. It was the bit that followed was just, as we've said before, left a bit of a sour taste in my mouth personally, but hopefully he'll get a chance for redemption. It looks like, based on the interval timings, hopefully we'll catch that on the cameras in a moment or two, it looks like he's starting to force that issue a little bit.
Yeah, also down in the AM battle then, Dan Gilding takes that 3rd position from Eric Benson. So Eric Benson dumped out of the podium positions here in this AM race. As you can see, Jason Dilworth in the AMs trying to catch on to the back of his teammate Ryan Hamilton just now. But you're absolutely right, Nick Maidsen is a man possessed right now, 0.3 of a second. He knows where he needs to make that move stick, as Simon Underhill has a little bit of a moment going through Ascari here, a little bit of the curb, and it's so easy to do. Oh, he tries to catch it. No, that's going to be straight into the barrier, and that is an expensive accident. Who was that just absolutely avoided it like a ninja there?
I think it was Ross Dunstan. That was really impressive that he managed to stay out of the way of that. We'll see if we... Oh, no, this is Simon who, again... I mean, that car's not drivable. I think I already saw in the timing tower, he's already gone back into pit lane. He's retired from this race, it looks like. That was a huge incident. It was one of them. You think, oh, cool, he's going to save it, and then you just put a bit too much opposite lock on, and sooner do you know, you're in the wall. One thing I will bring up though, Nick Madsen up into second place. He's made the move on Budavinkusta. He's lost a bit of time. In fact, they're chopping and changing at the moment. I think again, based on where the AM guys are, that's going to be going into turn 1. And you can see there again, he's just parked it on the apex. Well, hopefully we'll get a copy of that again, but that's going to put Anders Dahl into the mix as well. It looks like he's going to get around Kusta, but he's going to have to try and battle off his teammate. It's 3-1 going through Curva Grande. This isn't going to work. There's a chicane coming up in a minute. Oh, bit of contact between the two of them. Anders Dahl has gone onto the grass. Goodness me, if there is any form of you can tell what's going on in the cockpit of that number 20 car right now. I think it is pure fury as to what is going on. That seemed a little bit blatant to say the least, a little bit naughty, but I suppose what he's doing is he's giving as good as he gets.
Do you know what really annoys me though, David? Is the fact that let's watch this then run down to turn 1 here, and again you can see the fact that a little bit of touching there, a little bit of bumping, and I get the impression there that one of them's going to try a little bit of contact there into the back of Nick Maidson. No, it just misses, but yeah, it's blatantly obvious what is trying. See what I mean? What is that? This is the bit that really annoys me, is the fact that this makes a mockery of the entire season. The fact that every single week, right, me and you, David, have been coming here and we've gone, oh my god, this is the most intense racing I've ever seen on anything, on any platform. And then you get a week like this. This is just absolute nonsense. And the pair of them to absolutely knock it off right now, it's now beyond obvious what is trying to go on here. And I mean, really, is that how desperate this team is to try and push this championship? I know you can obviously. I get such a horrible feeling that you just feel like one of them's going to absolutely send it into this corner here and try and cause a little bit of contact. But thankfully, saner heads prevail here. But yeah, if I was Nick Maidson here, David, I mean, am I going crazy here? Am I seeing what I'm seeing on the screen here, or does it look like the two of them are intentionally trying to block him and collide with him?
I think that one that we just saw the replay of there, I think it's a bit of 6 and 2 3s. I think it looked to me, at least from the angle we saw, of course, that Budavinkusta just caught the curb on the inside. It looked kind of shades of Verstappen and Hamilton from Monza early last year in the F1. It just looked like he caught that curb. Yes, he probably could have got out of the way a little bit more. It just looked worse because we caught it as it was live, as it looked as though Budavinkusta was effectively parked on the outside of the track. Do I think that Nick Madsen's maybe giving as good as he can get and maybe doesn't need to do that? Yeah, of course. But look, I've been in that position before. I was in that position a couple of weeks ago. I got very frustrated and didn't do anything like this, but made it very, very difficult for someone to get past me. Fortunately, they got karma for it and they got hit into a wall and they retired from the race. But less said about that, the better. Let's focus on this one and the fact that Nick Madsen...
That's how you really feel, David.
Tuesday moans, I heard it earlier on the radio. I think that's exactly how we feel right now. I think we're letting it all out. Very cathartic, isn't it? One thing, though, we'll come back to it. We'll come back, place some more focus onto this one. Vince Peters is actually losing time to Nick Madsen. Nick Madsen's very, very quick at the moment. He's gained, I think, if the relative is correct, 0.4 of a second so far on that lap. We'll see the times as they go across. 1 minute, 150.3 for Nick Madsen, 149.8 from Nick Madsen over Vince Peters, so very, very close, but he's got to stop Anders Dahl from making some sort of move.
He does. I've never seen a car take that line through the opening the back stretch here. And the thing is to be fair, if Nick Maidson can actually knuckle down and get onto the back of Vince Peters, he's got a blooming good chance of doing this. But the pace that Anders Dahl has got right now is... it's pretty brutal to say the least here. He's really, really pushing that car for everything that he's got right now, and that is allowing Vince Peters to stretch away with this. We'll come back to Vince in just a second, because obviously there is, believe it or not, another set of classes that are racing just as hard as this. Dan Sedgley in lead of Cody Pride. that gap was 2.7 seconds. That gap is now 1 second to Cody Pride. Cody Pride, he's a-coming, he's a-charging down, and he wants to take that second win of the night here, with Stuart Reynolds in third position and Steve Martin in fourth. Harry Wills down in fifth, as James Fierro in sixth position, with Igor Kos in seventh as well. Ryan Hamilton in the lead still of the AM battle, but just ahead of his teammate Jason Dilworth, with Dan Gilding in third and Eric Benson in fourth, Ross Dunstan in fifth position. So we've hit the halfway point of the race. We've gone past that now. Our eyes are on this incredible battle up in the lead of the Pro Championship just now. Vince Peters and Nick Maidson still duking it out there, and I thought Nick Maidson was going to punt into the pit wall there. And have a look at this. What is Anders Dahl going to try and do into turn one here? Is he going to make a move? I don't think he can, but he's very late onto the brakes here. And crucially, that allows Nick Maidson to have an uncharted run into the first corner. That's dangerous from Nick Maidson. I mean, that's evasive manoeuvres, but that's what he feels he has to do right now. And that gap down by 0.3 of a second, again, just on that last lap there.
Yeah, it just seems a little bit forced, doesn't it? It clarifies exactly why I keep seeing pit lane come up on their names as they go past the start-finish straight, because they're practically driving into the pit lane and then just escaping at the final second. I think anyone with a normal head on their shoulders will know that what Nick Madson's doing, he's not going to pit from there, because he's never going to get on the brakes in time to get that car slowed down without getting some sort of speeding in the pit lane penalty. But it's a really weird one to do. See, Ross Dunstan, he's pitted, so I don't know whether that is scheduled or not. We'll see if he comes out of the pit lane in the next few minutes. As change for the lead in the AM class, Ryan Hamilton, sorry. Again, Ross Dunstan and Ryan Hamilton mixed up there. Lets Jason Dilworth through. That is going to be a beneficiary to the championship, you would imagine, because Jason Dilworth, of course, won last week at Road Atlanta, is starting to close that gap on Chris Chatterton. Chris Chatterton, of course, retired from this race earlier because he said he had a migraine, so wasn't able to race. That means that should, in theory, promote Jason Dilworth into the lead of the championship.
Yeah, it certainly should. That's what it would give us the idea of anyway. So the championship is most likely what they are thinking about just now as the cars make their way across the line. 149.8 for Vince Peters. So he's started to ratchet up the pace again. He knows he needs to turn up the speed that car has got. So that presumably they're on the run down to turn one just now. And it's calmed down a little bit, but you get the feeling that there's some very, very bad blood between that team of Peters, Dahl and Kuster and the solo runner of Nick Maidson, as Dan Sedgley into the pits from the lead of the Pro-Am.
Yeah, it looks like it's going to boil over very, very quickly. Of course, the difficulty that Nick Madsen has is that it doesn't matter whether he goes next week and he's got people to back him up, because he is running in his own team. He hasn't got anyone in his class or anyone on the track at all that can kind of give him that backup, whereas Vince is... I'd be very surprised if Anders Dahl doesn't reappear in next week's race as well, and Budovan Kuster doesn't do the same. So, look, I'm not happy with it. I don't agree with it whatsoever, but if they're happy, if the team are happy to let these guys come in, then that's going to continue to happen. I wonder if Madsen will reflect on this and maybe put some form of comments in place to try and see if they can stop that from happening. Because look, Budovan Kuster, fair enough, he's part of this championship. Anders Dahl has come in, and to be fair, in this race, I don't think he's done as much as the other guys have, but he's still a part of it, and I'm sure he has some part to play in it. Frustration's over. Hopefully, what we can see, as we said before, is in the last 16 minutes of this race, I can't believe it's been 29 minutes, there's one gone already. Hopefully, we'll see that Madsen can start to continue to close that gap, because it's just under 2 seconds now. It just remains to be seen, doesn't it, as to whether that is because Nick Madsen is that much quicker than Vince Peters, or because Vince is thinking long game and he's trying to save some fuel and see if he can make it without having to serve a pit stop.
That's a great point, as 149.63 from Nick Maidson should give you the answer to that question about the pace alone of that car. It drops down under 2 seconds to Vince Peters then. And here's the other question, David. So, Vince Peters, Anders Dahl and Budovan Kuster, are they actually teammates then? Because checking the entry list, obviously Anders Dahl marked as a privateer, Vince Peters for Volante Racing, and Budovan Kuster down for JWS Motorsport. But they're all in the same livery?
Yeah, it's a good question. I mean, like you say, I've gone exactly what you said there. I've gone by the fact they've got the same livery. It all references Volante Racing. I mean, and the antics that we're seeing so far suggests that there is some sort of teams play at stake as well. If I look down in the chats, because obviously every team in this championship has their own chance to go into a little voice chat on the Discord server that hosts this. They're all in there as well.
I see that. Yeah.
I'm playing the high IQ moves here. I'm seeing that they're in the same chat, same livery. I think there's something to do it. The only outlier, like you say, is Budvin Kuster, because he's definitely confirmed as.
Is that gap down to 0.7 of a second? What has happened there? What the hell? Oh my god! So that was about 0.8 of a second. That was between them two, and now suddenly that makes no sense. But he's at least. So there we go, 0.6 of a second. What's happening then to Vince Peters? He's dropping back. Oh, I know exactly what's going on with Vince Peters, or I've got a sneaking suspicion. He's trying to back Nick Maidson up into the pack with Anders Dahl as they come round the Parabolica. We've seen this time and time again, allowing Anders Dahl to get the toe here, and they all go into pit lane. So maybe Vince Peters just decided enough was enough and having to do some emergency fuel saving there. But I've got to say that voice chat spot that you did there, that was some Sherlock Holmes stuff right there. Can you imagine if Nick Maidson gets the jump on them in the pit lane? Oh my God, this is brutal.
Look at this. They literally. I mean, it's a good thing they go. It's a good thing they go to the pit lane, doesn't it? Because that would have been very surprising indeed. It's just a case of look. There's not. There is. This is literally one of the most interesting things. You can see. Look how close they are as they come out. Anders Dahl gets it. Vince Peters is just about out behind. Who's that? Budvin Kuster's dropped a little bit further back as a result. This is going to be so close going into the first couple of corners, and there's 0.4 between the top three now. Unbelievable.
I have never seen anything, David, like this in my life as the two of them go, Simmons in, and the teammates hit! What on earth? That's the teammates of Dahl and Peters hit, and that allows Nick Maidson to stretch off into the sunshine, just as we'd seen it all. Desserts are served, karma is served on a plate, and the two teammates hit each other. David, I have never seen anything like that in sim racing in my life.
To be a fly on the wall in that chat right now, I would love to be. What on earth happened there?
No, Michael, this is so not fair. Oh, right, back to saying our heads. Right, let's regroup and think what's happening here. Class is all pitting at the same time then. So Ryan Hamilton, Eric Benson, Dan Gilding all into the pits. Jason Dilworth is likely going to take the lead back of that race as well. Pro-Am, Corey Pride still in the lead of that one. Let's have a look then on the replay. And it looks like it is Vince Peters going too hot into turn number 1. Tries to take position here, and it just doesn't happen. And for me, it looks like Vince Peters, because he goes for the corner and goes wide. He hits the curb and slides off. Oh, that's an awkward one. That is an awkward one to see. Yeah.
Yeah, a little bit of a dodgy one, wasn't it? It's given Nick Maidson a chance to really kind of make a bit of a break for it. He's got 0.8 of a second on this lap alone, considering he got the move done onto Curva Grande. He's done a fantastic job so far. Look, Nick, no one's going to fall for that move anymore, buddy. I think we all know you've gone into the pit lane. We all saw it happen. But that was, it looked like one of those moves where I can hear Vince Peters now saying, right, let me get the position into there. I know you come out faster. Let me get the move into turn 1, and you just kind of sit in front of him and slow him up a little bit. That's what it looked like. It just didn't work. And now Anders Dahl has gone back into the position ahead of Vince Peters. This looks like one of those where it's going to be like, right, let's work together, let's get a bit of slipstream going. But it's not working. Anders Dahl is now a second behind Nick Maidson. He's pulling away, and the redemption arc is almost complete.
Man, this is some soap opera stuff that we've got going on tonight here at Monza. We jokingly said about turn 1, but we never imagined anything like this. As Cody Pride side by side then with Stuart Reynolds, and Stuart Reynolds takes the lead from Cody Pride. This is on position for track, because believe it or not, these two have still pitted. So Cody Pride somehow now just doing an amazing job of being in contention here. I think he's potentially going to look for a bump draft here, but it's never ever going to happen. And this is awesome stuff that we're watching here. Cody Pride looking to get his second win of the evening here at Monza. He did the double back at Donington just a couple of weeks ago here. This is Harry Wills then, and this is a replay then from the Pro-Am car, and that is just him running wide on the second Lesmo there. Very easy to do, and something that I likely would have done quite a few times, but Cody Pride here still trying to catch up to Stuart Reynolds here. 0.3 of a second is the gap, and have a look at that gap for your leaders as well. 0.9 of a second, nearly a full second between Nick Madsen and Anders Dahl, as we see Budovin Kuster as well trying to hold off Vince Peters. Now, actually, what has happened there to Vince Peters? Is he properly field saving? As we see Nick Madsen having a proper charge on having a proper charge by Anders Dahl here, and Vince Peters weirdly dropping right back to the back of that 4-car field. So I'm not sure what on earth has happened there.
No, yeah, I mean, he's a second slower than everyone else on that last half a second off Nick Madsen. I don't know if that has anything to do with it, but Anders Dahl, look at this, he's got the slipstream through Curva Grande. He's going to be covered off from the inside from Nick Madsen. It looks like Nick's going to brake a little bit later, just bleeds off that brake pedal, takes it nice and easy, bit of a yeet to the curb, a lump of that taken, a little bit of opposite lock for Anders just to try and hold it on as Nick Madsen covers the inside into Lesmo 1. Can he hold on around the outside? He can't. And it looks like Nick is going to hold on for a little bit longer, but Anders Dahl's got some pace on him, hasn't he? Looking at Cody Pride as well. Oh, it's close. That looked very squeaky bum time from the seat of Anders Dahl there. You could see the wheel just wobbling as he was trying to seesaw it to try and stop himself going into the back of Madsen. But just going back to Cody Pride, I was just looking at the championship, because the admin team here at WSR are so good at updating these races as they go through. Cody Pride is now only 30 points, or less than 30 points off of the lead of the championship. If he gets a win again tonight, he beats Stuart Reynolds again, that closes down even more.
That's a very good point there, as Cody Pride didn't really have much of an answer to Stuart Reynolds, but it's still side by side then. Nick Madsen and Anders Dahl. Look at that, Anders Dahl forced to the outside there. That means that Budovin Kuster is going to have the inside line as well here, and this is down the front straight then. Oh, now we're starting to see the elbows coming out here. It's a proper 3-way, 4-way brawl. It's a proper street fight we've got going on here. Nick Madsen is having to defend himself from a gang beating here from Anders Dahl, Vince Peters and Budovin Kuster, and there's almost contact of 3 cars going into 1, and that means that Nick Madsen again walks free. How is he able to survive this assault from 3 cars? Vince Peters now back up into that second place here. Anders Dahl in 3rd position and Budovin Kuster in 4th place. So I'll be honest, as much as we are supposed to be impartial and completely unbiased right now, I am loving this. I'm sitting with a grin big as a Cheshire cat right now, watching Nick Madsen fight off this right now. This is a proper underdog story, as we see Stuart Reynolds still in the lead of this race. Cody Pride is going to have to be careful now, because he's now got Steve Martin and Dan Sedgley right on the back of him here, and I know that one of these 4 cars will not finish this race tonight, and I've got a feeling it's going to be Anders Dahl. He is the fastest out of the 3 of those teammates, and I get the feeling he's going to cause himself a mischief tonight here.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's going to happen. I mean, you got Eric Benson, you see, go sideways to the exit of Ascari there. He's going to be something for them to compete with as well in a few laps' time. And look at Vince Peters pushing Nick Madsen through the exit of Ascari and down through the back straight down towards Parabolica, nearly 3 wide. Don't do this again, chaps, please. I mean, actually, please do, because this is fantastic for us and fantastic for those of you watching at home as well. This is unbelievable. Look at the side of that 45 car of Vince Peters. He's going to go round the outside, and Nick Madsen is going to go, no thank you, sunshine, I will push you as far wide as I possibly can and stop you from doing whatever you can to get that move done. It looks like they're still side by side. Madsen's not quite lost the lead just yet. He's got all 4 of them. Look how close they are. Go to the chopper cam. Who's that on the inside there? That is all contact between the 2 of them. That is Anders Dahl. I think he's managed to hold on to it. Vince Peters, sorry. Oh my goodness me. It would have been Kuster, sorry, who's actually made that move. He's surely going to get a huge slowdown penalty. He will lose that position, you would assume. We've still got 6 minutes left of this race nearly. This is far from over.
And here was me thinking pantomime season was over. It's anything but right now. This is as much as I'm loving this, I'm also hating it. This is. I really don't like what I'm seeing here tonight. It has been ridiculous. Firstly, Nick Maidson, though. I mean, come on, drive of the night right now. This is just everything. I mean, homing missiles, oil slicks, torpedoes, you name it. They're throwing. Volante Racing have thrown it at Nick Maidson, and he's just like, yeah, see you later, guys. I'll just take this one here. I knew that something bad was going to happen there. That a completely unnecessary contact going into turn one here, and I mean, for me, as enjoyable as this is, it's a difficult one because, like I say, I'm really annoyed as well as Nick Maidson absolutely sent it over the corner there at the chicane at Ascari. And it's like I said, right, I've always gone on about, and you can ask, Mike Yow, like, David, even off air, we've been like gleeing about how amazing this series is. And yet tonight, it just feels like, it just feels so wrong. It just feels like, yes, this is funny and it's amusing to watch, but this isn't a championship. This is. I have no idea what on earth is going on tonight.
Yeah, I agree. It just seems like it. Well, I think you hit the nail on the head a few minutes ago. It's like a soap opera watching at the moment. I feel like we're going to end this one and say next week on WSL Porsche Cup EU. Exactly. It's what it feels like. Look at Anders Dahl go around the outside. He's going to hold on to the position. It's going to be very, very close. He's going to hold on to contact between them, and there you go. That's exactly what you said was going to happen. It wasn't quite the punt that we were expecting it to be, but contact between the privateer. I say privateer, Volante Racing Car in inverted commas, and Nick Maidson promotes Vince Peters to lead. Budavenkusta follows suit. That's 5 seconds down the road now. And I wonder if it looks like that Mag Performance SRT car, Nick Maidson, looks like it might be pulling a little bit to the right, which will be a massive shame because that is the least he would have deserved coming out of this. That is completely undeserved. And dare I say, I don't want to point the finger directly at Anders Dahl because that really wasn't a move. It looked more like a race than anything, but he wasn't intended to be in this race. So would that have happened had he not been here?
Yeah, it's the whole thing. It's a championship affecting situation. That's some huge points left. The incident itself, I would stray more to the fault of Nick Maidson on that, just purely because the car was on the inside. Just why? It didn't need to happen. It's a silly incident. Although, still, 2.5 minutes left to go. We'll see what happens there. I'm not even really interested now in this one. It's done. Stuart Reynolds in the lead ahead of Cody Pride. That is boiling over nicely though. Dan Sedgley still trying to fight in this as well. So the three of them are in a bit of a toe-to-toe battle right now as we see Steve Martin trying to hold on, but I don't think he's got anything more that he can add into this conversation for the Pro-Am battle as well. It's 0.3 of a second separating Cody Pride from his second win of the evening here as we see Anders Dahl still fighting it out with Nick Maidson. I think Nick Maidson might just be wanting to make sure that he gets this car home. In fact, it looks like there is damage to that car. He just ends up going straight on and straight back in, and again he's desperately trying to just get that car home. You can see it struggling there in gear, and that'll be a slow down penalty for cutting the chicane there. But back to the AM battle, Ryan Hamilton ahead of Jason Dilworth, Eric Benson in third place. But here is the battle then for Pro-Am. I get the feeling this might be the last lap of the race then as we head into about 44 minutes gone. We're about halfway around the lap for the Pro class just now. But again, Cody Pride here, David, looking so menacing and looks like he really, really wants to take this second win of the evening.
Yeah, absolutely. He looks like he is really enjoying, well, I said it before, he's enjoying these sprint formats and he is doing his absolute best to try and get ahead of Stuart Reynolds. And of course, that has bearings on the championship as well. Like we said before, Budavenkusta in your picture-in-picture going through Ascari for what I believe will be the second to last time. So going on to the final lap after this one, he's made a bit of a gap to Vince Peters, who's then got a bit of a gap to Anders Dahl, who's then got a bit of a gap to Nick Maidson. So I think that Pro class is done and dusted. It's really where the Pro-Am class is starting to heat up. As you can see, battle for the lead. 4 cars separated by just over a second. which is what we've seen for most of the races this season. And I'm very pleased that come to the end of it, even after the 45 minutes of non-stop action, we've come back to it again. And I'm looking forward to seeing who's going to come out of this one on top with what looks like one more lap to go.
Yeah, that looks like we've just got across the line in the nick of time then. So Bidavin Kuster in the lead of this one. But have a look at this then. Cody Pride ahead of Stuart Reynolds then. This is going to be into Parabolica and it's going to be the run down the line then. This could end in tears as well. As we see Dan Sedgley trying to have a little say in this one. Sedgley's going to have the run now, and that's going to mean that Cody Pride is in trouble with this one, because the two of them trying to fight it out here. They're going to go 3 wide into turn 1. This is where it all ends in tears, as Cody Pride has to take evasive action at the last there. But up the inside, surely I thought that was going to be contact with Sedgley. Cody Pride into the back end of Dan Sedgley, and yeah, that's a very unfortunate one to see. Right, okay, well, there we go. That's that answers that one then. So Cody Pride had to take that evasive action there, and I think it was just a case he just came into that corner too hot. The car in front of him slid over a little bit there, and yeah, just slightest of taps into the back of that one. No malice whatsoever from Cody in there. I mean, every single driver in that position is going to try and push to make that happen. But here we go then. This is through the Lesmos then. Cody Pride still trying to catch on to the back of Stuart Reynolds. We keep an eye on Bidavin Kuster, who looks like he's going to take the win here. In fact, if it is a team-orientated affair, I wouldn't be surprised to see Bidavin Kuster hand the win to Vince Peters here. But here we go then. Cody Pride still trying to hold on to this, but it's Bidavin Kuster. It's a commanding lead that he's got from Vince Peters. It looks like then he's just going to take the win. He does. So Bidavin Kuster takes the win. Vince Peters in second position. Anders Dahl takes third. Nick Maidson is going to limp that car back across the line here. But here we go then. Cody Pride on the back straight then, trying to catch up to Stuart Reynolds then. It's down to Parabolica for the final time. Cody Pride trying to make his way round the outside. That's never going to work here. Eri Shamantis in fifth position for the Pro-Ams there. Cody Pride hung out to dry. He's going to have to watch out because he's got Steve Martin on his tail there. It's the run down the line. It's going to be Steve Reynolds. It's going to be Stuart Reynolds ahead of Cody Pride. Steve Martin in third. Dan Sedgley in fourth position. James Fierro in fifth position there. Ryan Hamilton is going to take the win from Jason Dilworth. It is going to be a Nomad Sim Racing 1-2 with the number 11 of Eric Benson finishing in. Well, I've got Eric Benson finishing in third position here. It then says that Igor Kos is there. But Igor Kos is in Pro-Am, that's why. So it's, as we said, Ryan Hamilton, Jason Dilworth and Eric Benson is your top 3 for the AMs as well. Right, David, lots to unpack after tonight. Rather large elephant in the room, but it's going to have huge championship implications tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, I think if you say it was marred slightly by what had happened in that Pro Class second race, I think that would probably be a bit of an understatement. A little bit salty. I'm sure there'll be plenty of conversations happening after that between now and the next race at Silverstone. Hopefully we don't see a repeat of it then and we can get back to the fantastic racing. Look, if you take away from the fact there was some slightly underhand tactics, the racing was brilliant. It was fantastic to watch, and it hopefully it looked good for those watching in the broadcast as well. But the racing was brilliant. It was just some of the tactics that weren't even at all subtle in their happenings just marred the situation a little bit, which is a bit of a shame.
Yeah, I absolutely echo those sentiments. It's, again, being 8 rounds in. Look, at the end of the day, we take these championships and this work very seriously, David. And, you know, we always try to reflect the championship in the best light possible. And we get emotionally invested in it. We speak about these drivers time and time out. And when you get stuff like this happens, it does it. You get a little bit too carried away with it. You feel personally aggrieved by it because it's like, why are you doing that? But championship standings wise, in the Pro Class, Vince Peters now leads on 620 points from Nick Maidson with 579 points. Francois Aldrini, not getting any points from the last 2 races, is in third position with 529 points. Matthew Maitler in 497 in fourth position, and Eri Shamantis in fifth position there. In the Pro-Am championships, we'll come back to that actually because they're getting updated by our amazing admin admin team here at World Series Leagues right now, and the AM Championships though have been updated, so the gap now is Ryan Hamilton in the lead of that championship by just 7 points ahead of Jason Dilworth. Chris Chatterton in third position, Eric Benson in fourth there. The gap from first to fourth as we head into the final 2 rounds is is about 31 points between them. So a lot to play for in these final rounds, and it looks like we've got Ryan Hamilton in for a little bit of a chat. So David, I'm gonna let you have a little blether to Ryan.
Yeah, good evening, Ryan. Congratulations on the win in the second race there, buddy. Hopefully, well deserved, of course. Shame to see that Chris wasn't able to take part in there, but that's done you a world of good in terms of the championship. It's looking pretty good going to the final round. How was it from your perspective tonight?
Yeah, it's been great. I mean, I did very little practice, obviously, because of Daytona was in way, but I did a bit of practice on Monday. Felt really good. Car felt great. I was able to attack the curbs, which I think is really important around here. If you're comfortable attacking the curb, you can sort of gain quite a lot of time. But as far as both races went, just very good. Hanging around with the team leader Jason Dilworth for a while, and sort of maybe starting to play a bit of mind games and stuff like that, and sort of like helping each other to sort of break away. And then it was a lot of fun though. It's a shame about Chatterton because obviously having everyone involved makes this championship so much better. There's a low attendance. The attendance is dropping off a bit, but the racing though is still fantastic. But I really enjoyed it out there. It was really fun.
Fantastic. I mean, yeah, speaking on behalf of everyone by saying, the racing throughout the field in whatever classes, whether it's yourselves in the AM class or the other two as well, has been, it's been incredible, which is really good to see. One thing that David and I picked up on in the broadcast in the second race, of course, let's not forget the fact that you obviously won the sprint race as well, or both sprint races, should we say, so maximum points for you, which is something which is always nice to see. But I'm pretty sure I saw Jason kind of dip out the way coming out of the first chicane sort of midway through the race. Was that something that you guys had planned to do? Was that something, because obviously you guys are both fighting for the championship, of course, 7 points if you haven't seen between you at the moment. Was that something that you guys were talking about on team radio during the race, or was that just a mistake from Jason we didn't quite see that gave you the position there?
No, it was a mistake, I think. And also I gave him the position early on because I actually got an off track at the second, the first chicane, second part. Where if you cut the first bit too much, you get a slowdown. But no, we both had a couple of those. But after the pits, we after the sort of pit stop in the second race, we were like, right, that's it, gloves off. Let's go racing. And it's the first time I've gone toe to toe with Jason, and it was real fun. Like I say, he's team leader, so it's kind of the toughest person to race against, because you want to race hard, but you don't want to race too hard, because if you race too hard, there might be an accident, and you don't really want that really. But not only that though, it was maximum points for Prestanda Nomad Team White, which obviously I think we're looking really good in the team championship as well. So we've got an eye on that as well, and we want to win that as well. But no, phenomenal race. By the way, hands down to the pros, far across the line. I heard about it. I can't wait to watch it back, and I always do watch them back. So I can't wait to see that, because I bet that was absolutely insane.
Yeah, it was quite impressive. The second race, we'll let you watch that and see for yourself. But yeah,
please, don't spoil it. No spoilers.
Yeah, it was unbelievable stuff. I suppose final thing for me is obviously 2 rounds left of the season. Of course, Silverstone next week for the Enduro, and the Bathurst Sprint to finish it off. Like I said before, top of the championship, in case you've not already seen, in case you haven't noticed that the guys at WSL have updated the standings. But are you going into there with confidence that you can take the championship title in the last couple of races?
No. No. Silverstone's kind of a bogey track for me. I can never seem to extract the best amount of time from Silverstone. And Bathurst is just Bathurst. You can't really say much about that. That's why I really wanted to get this race. I really wanted to do well in this race, to at least give me something. to sort of go into the next couple of races with. But no, Silverstone's a bogey track for me. I do like the circuit. I mean, it can be boring at times, but it's kind of I can never get a good feel for it. Whereas Bathurst is brilliant. I love it, but it's just you put one tyre wrong around that track and that's it. Your day is done. So yeah, but it's going to be exciting anyway in the AM class. I can't say much for other ones, but obviously I'm really focused on AM. But yeah, it's been really, really close for the AM, and it's been really enjoyable. Absolutely loved it.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, look, Brian, best of luck for the next couple of races, even if they aren't going to play to your strengths. Fingers crossed.
Yeah.
We'll get a chance to chat with you over the next couple of weeks, and hopefully for yourself, we'll get a chance to speak to you in a couple of weeks after potentially lifting that AM Class trophy. But congratulations on the full house tonight. Brilliant work from yourself, and best get into the practice servers and get ready for Silverstone next week.
Yeah, thanks, David and David. Excellent stream, guys. Thank you very much.
No worries, buddy. Take care.
See ya.
Fantastic to hear from Ryan there, Dave, wasn't it? It's again, it just shows how much preparation and how much kind of pride these guys take into this racing. These Nomad guys all put 100% in for every race, and it shows, doesn't it?
It really does. It's a brilliant effort and a brilliant outfit that the Nomad Sim Racing team have got, and the amount of work that they put in for the championship really, really does show. And also got to give a big shout out to Corey Pride. I mean, taking the win and taking second place, no mean feat here. As I'm really getting triggered again watching all this unfold on the replay of the main screen here. I get into trouble sometimes for kind of being a little bit straight shooting and things that I say and opinions that I take. I'm really happy that Budovin Kuster took the win tonight. The problem is for me is that entire evening has been tainted for that pro class. I'm really, I cannot emphasise enough how really disappointed I am with that performance from those three drivers, from Budovin Kuster, from Vince Peters, from Anders Dahl. It's beyond question what they were up to tonight, the way they were behaving against Nick Madsen. We'll keep an eye out to see if anything happens on that, but after what's been an amazing championship, I mean, let's say it how it is. The reason that it hurts so much is because up until now, David, we have had 7 of the most incredible intense races, and yes, we usually see Vince Peters and Francois Aldrini, giving it big licks and going toe to toe and elbow to elbow, but tonight did feel a little bit different. On to everybody else, Pro-Am battle was absolutely amazing. Stuart Reynolds and Cody Pride taking 2 incredible performances, and then obviously Ryan Hamilton, amazing performance in that AM class as well. Some great winners. Battle rages on at Silverstone. Let's see how it goes next week.
Yeah, absolutely. Really looking forward to it. I think the less said about what happened, the better. Hopefully it'll be looked into, and we'll come back next week. Silverstone endurance race, lovely track, one of a personal favourite of mine, and hopefully we can see plenty more action as we have done so far this evening, and plenty more for the final 2 rounds to send the season off with a bang.
Fingers crossed. Same time next week, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much at home for joining us. A huge thank you to our broadcast director, Mike Yao, behind the scenes. And a huge thank you to all of the team here at World Series Leagues for doing an amazing job in getting this race up and running. And we will see you next week. It's been David Christie and David Dressel in the commentary box. And we look forward to seeing you next week at Silverstone.
This is iRacing, the world's premier online racing game. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat to experience today's newest form of competitive motorsport, virtual racing, all from your home PC. Race virtually in endorsed series from NASCAR, IndyCar, IMSA, the World of Outlaws, Aussie Supercars and more. Take on legendary circuits like Daytona, Silverstone and the Nürburgring. Join iRacing's global online racing community and get on track today at iracing.com.